Hello and welcome to News Now. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday met with the 21 Chibok girls who were released from Boko Haram captivity last week. Now, during the meeting, the president vowed to ensure that the girls are properly rehabilitated back into the society, pledging to provide adequate and comprehensive medical, nutritional and psychological care and support. He also expressed his desire to continue the negotiation and get all the remaining girls released. The president also congratulated the 21 released girls, their parents, the Chibok community, the security agencies and all Nigerians on a day he referred to as a day of delight and rejoicing. The girls are part of the over 200 schoolgirls who were kidnapped by Boko Haram in 2014. They were released last Thursday after a lengthy negotiation with the sect and were reunited with their parents at an emotional Thanksgiving service in Abuja on Sunday.
While joining their parents to rejoice and praise Almighty, we shall redouble efforts to ensure that we fulfill our pledge of bringing the remaining girls back home. Already, the credible first step has been taken, and government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely. These 21 girls will be given adequate and comprehensive medical, nutritional, and psychological care and support. The federal government will rehabilitate them and ensure that their reintegration back to the society is done as quickly as possible. Aside from rescuing them, we are assuming the responsibility for their personal, educational, and professional goals and ambitions in life.
Mr. President, sir, permit me to inform you that all the 21 girls came back to us. They came back looking haggard, weak, and emaciated. Doctors were immediately dispatched to examine them and provide prompt medical assistance. Also, personal supplies of clothing, toiletries, and other undergarments were provided to them. The girls' parents were also brought in from Chibok, Borno State, to enable them reunite with their children. Mr. President, sir, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that the parents saw their children can, to say the least, be described as that of jubilation, elation, and open, uncontrolled emotions. The feelings of happiness pervaded the whole atmosphere. Nigerians far and near joined them in the celebration. The parents also seized every opportunity to express gratitude to Baba Buhari and the federal government for the safe return of their daughters.
Mr. President, sir, these girls, as they have gained their freedom today, under your custody, the parents and the girls, we sat down day before yesterday and discussed together with them that they don't mind staying with the government for their security's sake. They can be taken for schools in any part of the world. On behalf of the parents, I am assuring you that total support will be given to the government in the system of provision of anything for these daughters.
We are happy for seeing this wonderful day because we don't know that we shall come back to be member of Nigeria. But the grace of the Lord show us now we are together. Let us thank God for his love, okay? After that, let us pray for the rest that's in this service now. Let God help them to be served together in the name of the Lord. Amen. Okay, after that, we don't have anything to say again. Only thank you. And we are thankful for our government activities. Okay.
Boko Haram insurgents have attacked Kutikeri village near the northeast Nigerian town of Chibok in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. Locals told newsmen the militants attacked the village Tuesday night and opened fire on the village as residents slept. They burnt down the whole village after looting food supplies and livestock. Kutikeri lies near Chibok, a town from where Boko Haram seized over 200 schoolgirls in April 2014. The Nigerian army says some of its soldiers are still missing after an encounter with Boko Haram. The statement by Army spokesperson Colonel Sani Usman says 13 soldiers were injured in a clash with the sect, while a few others were missing in action. The army, however, assured that it would not relent until all the soldiers have been accounted for, saying that a rescue team had been deployed to go in search for the missing soldiers. France is pledged to collaborate with the Nigerian armed forces to help in setting areas that would make the Nigerian military more responsive to its statutory responsibility. The General Commanding French Forces in Senegal, Brigadier General Pascal Facon, made this known when he visited the defense headquarters to discuss modalities for the training and other support of the Nigerian military personnel. Brigadier General Facon specifically mentioned training on force protection, maritime security, counter-improvised explosive device, and other relevant areas that would be of immense benefit to the Nigerian armed forces. In his response, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, thanked the French Forces commander for all the assistance the Nigerian military had enjoyed in the past, assuring him of Nigeria's military's readiness to embrace the opportunity offered by their French counterpart, I should say. Now, a new report from the International Monetary Fund has projected Nigeria as Africa's biggest economy despite its current problems. The report placed Nigeria ahead of South Africa and Egypt, who were second and third respectively. In August, Nigeria was reported to have lost its spot as Africa's biggest economy to South Africa following the recalculation of the country's gross domestic product GDP. But the IMF's World Economic Outlook for October 2016 puts Nigeria GDP at $415.08 billion from $493.83 billion in 2015, while South Africa's GDP was put at $280.36 billion from $314.73 billion in 2015. Now, the positive news for Nigeria comes in the midst of the country's economic recession, and the IMF has already predicted that Nigeria's economy will grow away from recession in 2017. Justice Inyang Okoro of the Supreme Court, that's one of the judges now arrested by the DSS some weeks ago, has alleged that his arrest by the Department of State Services is in connection with his refusal to influence the 2015 Akwa Ibom election appeal as demanded by the Minister of Transportation, Chibok Amechi, and the All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate Okonu Mana. In a 4-page letter to the National Judicial Council, Okoro said he strongly believed that Amechi had a hand in his travails because the Supreme Court ruled against the APC in Abia, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers States. And while the minister and the governorship candidate have both denied the allegation, in a statement by his media office, Amechi described the judge's claims as a figment of his imagination concocted to politicize the real issues for his arrest and DSS investigation of allegations of corruption against him. Umana, on his part, dismissed the allegations as baseless, describing it as a mere fiction. The Nigerian Senate has mandated its Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate the arrest of 7 judges by the Department of State Services. The resolution follows a motion raised by the chairman of the Senate Committee, of course, Senator David Umaru. The Senate also resolved to invite the 7 judges to explain their side of the story. Senator Umaru, in his motion, said the invitation of the judges was to enable the Senate conduct a proper investigation into the matter. In his response, the Senate President Bukola Saraki gave the committee the go-ahead with their oversight function as they had already been empowered. Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose has described the latest admission of a former Minister of State for Defense, Musiliu Obaniko wrote that he transferred 2.3 billion naira to him as another attempt by the federal government to implicate him at all cost. Obaniko arrived Nigeria on Monday to honor an EFCC invitation for his alleged involvement in the Ekiti election scandal. Now, during the subsequent interview with the commission, the former minister admitted he transferred 2.3 billion naira to the Ekiti leader from the Office of the National Security Advisor to fund his 2014 governorship election. In a statement Tuesday, Fayoshe alleged that the return and subsequent admission by Obaniko showed that the government was intent on damaging his name. The Nigerian government has approved a 30 billion naira intervention fund for the mining sector. Briefing newsmen after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Kayode Fayemi, said the approval of the intervention fund for the mining sector was in fulfillment of President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign promise to diversify the economy with emphasis on agriculture and the mining sector. He added that the fund would focus more on exploration, which he said was at the heart of mining in the country. The Nigerian Police Force says it is organizing a special training basically to reform and reposition the officers and men of the force attached to the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. The training is against the backdrop of widespread reports of police brutality and high-handedness on unsuspecting civilians whom they ironically should be protecting. Speaking at the event in Abuja, Deputy Inspector General of Police Operations Joshua Kabila says the three-day training runs simultaneously in all 12 zonal commands across the country. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode on Wednesday effected a cabinet reshuffle, dropping the commissioners for tourism, Folorunsho Folarin-Koka, finance, Mustafa Akinkumi, and transportation, Ekundayo Moberiola. In a statement, the governor also directed the special advisor, Arts and Culture, to take over as the acting commissioner for Ministry of Tourism and Culture, while the special advisor on transportation will take over as acting commissioner for transportation. Also, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance will take over as the acting commissioner for finance, pending the appointment of new commissioners in the respective ministries. The statement adds that the governor expresses his appreciation to the former commissioners for their service to the state and wished them well in their future endeavors. It's been 30 years now since foremost Nigerian investigative journalist Delegiwa was killed in a parcel bomb attack at his home in Lagos. In memory of the late journalist, the Lagos State Council of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, in collaboration with the Delegiwa Foundation, held a forum focusing on unresolved murder cases in Nigeria, occupational hazard for journalists, and respect for the rule of law. Correspondent Tunji Olanikwekun has that story.
It's been 30 years since his life was cut short by a letter bomb while having breakfast at his home in Lagos. 3 decades after, the question of who killed Delegiwa is still unanswered. So too are many murders like that of Bola Ige, Funsho Williams, Alfred Rewani, and many others on a long list of unresolved assassinations. Gathered in this hall, friends, colleagues, and admirers of Delegiwa. Despite their agitations and petitions in the last 30 years, the authorities have still not been able to crack the case.
The issue of Delegiwa, if that had been addressed and some people have been punished, perhaps what is happening today will have been reduced considerably. So that's why we are insisting that the federal government has to reopen the whole investigation all over again.
Guest speaker at the event, Femi Falana, said the rights and freedom of journalists in any society should be protected by government in the interest of a just and equitable society.
Unlike the Nigerian Union of Journalists, which has limited its search for the killers of Delegiwa by holding anniversary lectures, other associations of journalists in other parts of Africa have embarked on political and legal measures to investigate the killing of journalists and bring the perpetrators to book.
Other speakers at the event want a bill that will guarantee the freedom of journalists to operate without intimidation and harassment by security agencies.
The perpetrators of this act thought that it would be a job quickly done, a quick job quickly done and quickly forgotten. But of course the job was quickly done, but it hasn't been quickly forgotten.
The Nigerian political establishment has particularly underrated the role that journalists and media organizations have played in the evolution of this country, and this is rather a regretful thing.
What do we all do as individuals to fight impunity? Impunity starts right even from here, even with the photojournalist over here. It's impunity against the audience for him to come and block them.
One of the things we need to do as a nation for journalists is to ensure that the issue of the safety of journalists is brought onto the agenda, political agenda. We must involve the issue of safety of journalists. And I'm very happy that the chairman of this occasion is a member of the Federal House of Reps. There is nothing wrong, sir, in presenting a bill in order to ensure that the lives of journalists will be secure. It's very important because they perform a very vital role in the society.
Delegua was the editor of Newswatch magazine and one of its founders before he was killed through a parcel bomb on October 19, 1986. To this day, the killer or killers are yet to be unmasked. Tunjola Nkwekun, TV360, Lagos.
We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be talking business.
The Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, WSCIJ, invites professional Nigerian journalists and team of journalists, full or part-time, with stories published between the 4th of October 2015 and the 3rd of October 2016 to submit entries for the 11th Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. Award categories include print, radio, television, photo, online, and editorial cartoon. Submission deadline Monday 24th October 2016 by 4 p.m. All entries to be submitted at the WSCIJ office, number 18A, Abiodun Shobanjo Street, off Latif Jakonde Road, Agidimbi, Ikeja, Lagos. For more information, please visit wscij.org or call 0908-251-5179. Investigative reporting is the vital force for the restoration of human dignity. Wole Soyinka.
Welcome back. The interbank market rate reached a record high of 150% 2 days after commercial banks placed funds with the Central Bank of Nigeria to participate in last Friday's currency forward auction. Now, last Friday, the CBN held a 2-month dollar forward auction to clear a backlog of demand from airlines, manufacturers and other companies as the exchange rate crisis deepened. The Apex Bank has been tightening liquidity and intervening directly with dollar sales to banks to support the ailing naira hit by the fall in oil prices. Crude oil prices rose on Wednesday as market participants continued to evaluate OPEC's proposed production cuts. U.S. crude rose to $50.29 a barrel, while Brent crude rose to $51.68 a barrel. Now, analysts say comments from cartel members will likely continue to affect prices until OPEC convenes again now, November 30th, to hammer out the details of its agreement. Thousands of people fled the Mosul area and more are expected as Iraqi troops move on the city to liberate it from the so-called Islamic State. Some 5,000 people have crossed the border into Syria in the last 10 days, the aid agency Save the Children says. They have arrived at the Al-Hol refugee camp where conditions are already reported to be filthy and overcrowded. The UN says it is preparing for what it fears could be the biggest man-made humanitarian crisis in recent times. Former Congolese Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba has been found guilty by the International Criminal Court of bribing witnesses. This is the second time in 2016 he's been convicted by the court. Bemba was found guilty earlier this year of war crimes and crimes against humanity and jailed for 18 years. On Wednesday, he was convicted of corruptly influencing witnesses and falsifying evidence in that trial, while 4 close aides were also found guilty. To sports now, the Enugu State government, I should say, says it will host the Nigerian champions Rangers Football Club at the State House on Friday. The Antelopes won their first league title in over 32 years after defeating Borno side El Kanami Warriors 4-0 in their final match of the 2015-2016 MPFL season. The team finished on 63 points, that's 3 points now ahead of closest rivals Rivers United. The last won the league in 1984 and will represent Nigeria in next year's CAF Champions League. World Football Governing Body FIFA has chosen Gambian referee Bakari Papa Gassama to officiate Nigeria's second World Cup qualifier against Algeria. The game, scheduled for November 12, will take place at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, that's Akwa Ibom State in southern Nigeria. Gassama will be assisted by Jean-Claude Berumushahu from Burundi, Mawarange from Kenya, and his compatriot Maudu Jallo. Gassama, who has been an international referee since 2008, is one of the most respected referees in Africa. He has already been appointed as referee for this year's CAF Champions League final second leg clash between Zamalek of Egypt and Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa. Leicester City will not face UEFA charges after FC Copenhagen fans let off flares before their Champions League tie at the King Power Stadium. UEFA holds host clubs responsible for security inside and around the stadium unless they can prove that they have not been negligent. However, the European football's governing body opened disciplinary proceedings against the Danish champions. Now, UEFA's Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body will deal with Copenhagen's case on November the 17th. Well, that's it in news now. Thanks for joining us and continue to stay tuned to TV360.